In a society where loudness and superficiality seem to rule, some questions and phrases seem to have less meaning emerge. The ancient Stoic philosophy answers that the answer is unquestionably yes. Can we demonstrate our worth without using words? Can we understand the worth and intents of others around us without using words? Yes, the Stoics believed that courage was one of the most important traits that a person should possess, and that it could be shown through deeds rather than words. Today, we invite you to embark on this journey of personal transformation, where you will learn how to value yourself and set an example for the rest of the world. You know your worth, and that goes beyond feeling good about yourself. It's about changing the way others see and treat you. It's like having a superpower in your romantic life, but many of us are unaware of our own courage. Let's find out in this video. Let's go deep into something genuine and unadulterated, seeing your worth from a viewpoint that the timeless chapter. Understanding your true worth. Chapter 1. Stoicism. Yes, you did indeed hear me. Stoicism. This ancient philosophy is about understanding what truly matters in life, especially in relationships. I'm going to walk you through some steps to discover your true value in a relationship and channel your inner Stoic. Trust me, this is not the typical advice a couples therapist would give for a relationship. The first step is to empower yourself in ways you may not have thought possible. Are you ready to start this journey and unlock the secrets for a more satisfying, respectful, and empowering love life? Stay tuned, because this will change the rules of the game. Some things may seem harsh or unpleasant to you, but you must accept them if you want to reach your full happiness. The first step is to recognize your worth. I know what you're thinking. Oh no, not another tirade about loving yourself. But bear with me. You won't be hearing advice like, look in the mirror and tell yourself how amazing you are here. Besides, what does Stoicism have to do with recognizing your worth in relationships? Essentially, the Stoics teach us that the most important thing is to concentrate on what we can control, and that your self-esteem is entirely within your control. This isn't about how many likes you receive on Instagram, or whether someone adds you as a friend on any other social media platform. Rather, it's about how you view and value yourself. Consider this. Imagine yourself as a gemstone. Not everyone is aware of the value of a rare gem. Some people may choose to ignore it without realizing what it is. Nevertheless, the gems remain valuable, rare, and unique. And that is your authentic self-reflection. Your value doesn't decrease simply because someone doesn't recognize it. Now, let's be a little realistic. Everyone in this room has experienced rejection at some point, and we have all felt inadequate, especially in today's hyper-connected world where everyone seems to be living life to the fullest. However, Stoicism serves as a helpful reminder that your true value is found in your virtues and actions, whether you are kind, honest, or living a way you are proud of, rather than in the approval of others. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on introspection, so take a moment to consider your qualities, not just the surface-level ones, but also the core values that make you feel good. Here's the thing. When you truly understand this, it will transform the way you interact with others. You won't put up with foolishness because you respect yourself too much for that. Here's a little Stoic exercise for you. The next time you feel unappreciated, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, ask yourself what your values and strengths are. This isn't a means of bragging. Rather, it's about quietly acknowledging that you are deserving of outside recognition. One of the great Stoic emperors, Marcus Aurelius, asserts that you have control over your thoughts, not over outside circumstances. Realize this, and you will find strength. Therefore, when it comes to relationships, it's about discovering your own worth, whether or not others see it. Keep in mind that your value is something you cultivate over time. It's about reminding yourself each day that you are valuable, not because of what other people think, but because of who you are at your core. Chapter 2. Fundamentals of Nonverbal Communication. Let me make things clear before you begin to imagine a Stoic as a stern, unsmiling figure of antiquity. First, show oneself with dignity. Let's talk about what it means to present yourself with dignity in relationships. Sometimes we try so hard to impress someone that we end up losing ourselves in the process of dressing a certain way, talking a certain way, all to get that approval. This is where our Stoic wisdom comes in. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions or being indifferent. It is about understanding what is worthy of your energy and what is not. Comes in your dignity is not in what you wear or where you hang out. Rather, it's in how you act and behave. Imagine yourself in a coffee shop watching two people on a date. One is flashy and trying to impress, while the other is confident and at ease with herself. Which of them do you think will make a lasting impression? The genuine one. That's the power of presenting yourself with dignity. Stoics, how does trying to live a life of integrity and self-respect translate into the modern dating scene? It's easy. If you are passionate about something, own it and let it show. It's about being secure and at ease in your own skin, knowing that you are worthy just the way you are. And here's another thing. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. You set the example for how other people will treat you. So when you treat yourself with respect, you're basically telling the world that it's acceptable for them to treat you the same way. However, if you value your time, energy, emotions, and respect yourself, you'll be making your message very clear. I hope they treat me with respect, because I deserve it. Another renowned Stoic philosopher, Titus, stated, in the context of relationships, it doesn't matter what occurs to you. What matters is how you respond to it. It matters how you react and behave in certain circumstances more than how you appear or say things. We're all human. We make mistakes and have awkward moments. What matters is how you handle those moments. Do you crumble under pressure, or do you keep your head up and learn from it? Let's take a moment to consider how we can start presenting ourselves with more dignity. Are you reacting with disdain or dignity? Are you compromising your values just to fit in, or do you stand your ground even if it means being alone? Perhaps it's as simple as treating each other with a little more kindness and respect, because when you do that, and you start to see yourself as someone worthy of respect, the world starts to see it too. Perhaps it's about setting boundaries or saying no to things that don't align with our values. Step 3. Restrict access. I understand that this may come out as a little archaic, perhaps even a touch rigid, but bear with me. Respecting and realizing your worth is more important than trying hard to win. How does Stoicism respond to this? Stoicism teaches us the art of self-control and discipline, but not in a harsh or joyous way. Rather, it teaches us to recognize what is genuinely valuable and to hold on to it instead of letting go in the world of instant satisfaction. This is like a breath of fresh air. When we are dating or in relationships, there's often a rush to give everything, our time, our space, and our innermost thoughts. But the Stoics would advise standing back, because easily obtained things frequently lose their value. Human nature dictates that if you are always willing to say yes to everything at any time, where is the mystery, the depth, and the anticipation? Let's get down to business. How do you restrict access in a dignified and stoic manner? First, it's important to dress tastefully but modestly. Fashion isn't everything. It's a statement of intent that conveys your value. You're not hiding anything, but you're also not flaunting everything. There needs to be a balance. In a world where we are always connected, a sense that I am more than what meets the eye, and then there is your time and attention. Being selective about who you spend time with is a powerful thing. It's not about playing games. Rather, it's about stating that you value your time and choose to use it wisely. If you are with someone, be fully present and committed. But if you are not, don't feel bad about not being available because you are concentrating on your own life, your passions, and your personal development. Stoicism also teaches us about emotional self-control. This is not to say that you become cold or detached from life. Rather, it means that you don't allow everything to deeply affect you and that you maintain an inner calm. You also don't give away your emotional energy to just anyone. Rather, you have to earn it along with your time and attention. Now, I'm not advocating becoming a Stoic statue. After all, we're all human, and connection is what makes life rich. But there is beauty in taking your time and carefully establishing a connection that isn't based on instant access and immediate gratification. Keep in mind that restricting access is not about being sly or manipulative. Chapter 3. Determining Limits. Talk in private about respecting yourself and your own principles. It's about finding that happy medium between sharing and also holding back a little bit. Trust me, this makes all the difference in how you are perceived and treated. Value ourselves and be a little more like the Stoics in our modern dating world. It's about demonstrating, not just through words but also through actions, that you are someone who cares, he values himself, and therefore deserves to be valued. The fourth world step of Stoicism places a strong emphasis on action over words. Don't tell me, show me. This principle is particularly applicable when discussing setting boundaries. Anyone can say they won't put up with being treated badly, but the real test comes when they have to decide whether to stick to their boundaries or give in. That's when your true power lies. It's not in the saying, it's in the doing. Now, this may not be easy, especially when a lot of emotions are involved, but keep in mind what our Stoic friends taught us. Everything is under our control, including how we react to situations. When someone crosses a boundary, your response, rather than your words, defines your boundaries. For instance, if you've made it known that you value honesty and someone lies to you, how you handle the situation, walking away or confronting the matter calmly and directly, says a lot about how seriously you take your boundaries. Respecting oneself and receiving respect in a manner consistent with your ideals is all that's required, no drama. It's about cultivating a sense of self-respect and sticking to it, and this is where it gets really Stoic. It's not just about the big things, but also the small, everyday boundaries. People start to understand what you will and will not accept when they see that you have boundaries that you will not allow to be crossed, as well as norms and values that you are determined to enforce. It's how you respond when someone abruptly cancels plans, or how you deal with being taken advantage of. Do you walk away from them, or do you politely express that this is not acceptable? The practice of mindfulness involves being conscious of the current situation and your reactions to it. Does your behavior reflect your limitations? Chapter 4. The Strength of Walking Away. Do you stay true to who you are? It's important to recognize that the true test of your limits often occurs in the little moments. Therefore, as we go about our days and interact with others, let's try to be a little more stoic in how we demonstrate our limits. This doesn't mean that you have to be rigid or inflexible. Rather, it just means that you have an inner compass that directs your actions and reactions. Trust me, when you start living this way, people will start to perceive you as someone who not only has boundaries, but also respects themselves enough to uphold them. The fifth step is to prepare yourself to live in Stoicism. There's a beautiful concept of detachment, not in the sense of being cold or callous, but rather of realizing what we can and cannot control. One of the most empowering things we can control is the decision to stay in or leave a situation that is not right for us. We can also apply this concept to relationships. We've all been in situations where everything in the US is telling us that this is not what we deserve, but we choose to stay. Here's the Stoic twist. Perhaps it's the dread of being alone, the fear of change, or simply clinging to the idea that things will improve. The true power is realizing that we have the ability to choose differently and that we are in control of whether or not we stay in a circumstance that goes against our principles. This does not imply that you will ignore anything at the first hint of difficulty. Relationships require patience and hard work. To put it another way, being prepared to walk away is about having the inner strength and stoic fortitude to say, I value myself enough to not accept less than what I deserve. Let's break it down a little more. Being prepared to walk away is about self-respect. It's about realizing that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go of something that isn't for you. You are not there out of necessity or fear. Rather, you are there by choice. And here's the secret. When you have the courage to walk away from what does not serve you, it's like clearing out the old to make room for the new. This doesn't have to be a dramatic exit. Sometimes it's a calm decision and a calm understanding that this is not for you. Yes, it's scary, but remember our Stoic friends who taught us to face adversity with courage, to accept the unknown as part of the natural flow of life. Chapter 5. Take action. Speak up without words. Let's remember that being willing to walk away is not about being cold or distant, but rather about loving each other and respecting ourselves enough to say, I deserve better. As we sip our coffee and consider this, let's remember that the new is about believing that there is something better out there for you and giving yourself the chance to find it. In Step 6, emphasize deeds over words. As we've been studying, Stoicism is about using common sense to make decisions and about evaluating people based on their deeds rather than just their kind words. We live in a world full of pretentious statements and hollow promises, particularly when it comes to romantic relationships. However, Stoics advise us to look past that and teach us to observe behaviors because they disclose the truth. When we think about it, it's simple to say what we believe to be true or what other people want to hear. Expressing commitments. Giving a somewhat idealistic picture of the future, but are they setting an example, and do your deeds support your words? That is where the real story lies. Let's be honest for a second. We've all experienced it. Someone tells us all these adorable, amazing things when we first meet them, and we get carried away. However, over time, the actions don't quite match up. They make plans and then change them at the last minute, despite their words. Hold on tight. This is the moment when we must summon our inner Stoicism. Stoicism instructs us to avoid letting our feelings or words get in the way of our thoughts. It's about being rational, about seeing things as they are. If someone's actions are not consistent with their words, that's a red flag. It's the universe's way of saying, hey, pay attention, something's wrong here. This approach changes the way you navigate relationships. Instead of getting lost in romantic words and promises, you start to pay attention to the little things, how they act when they are stressed. If they follow through with what they say, are they there for you? Not just in words, but in a real and tangible way. And here comes the interesting part. When you start focusing on actions, you set a standard and send a message that says, I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do, and people realize that they can't just talk their way into your life. They have to prove their worth and their intentions. But remember, this is not about being cynical or distrusting everyone. It is about being intelligent, about protecting your heart with a layer of Stoic wisdom. It's important to keep your emotions in check and to remain grounded. Let us consider this. Let us remember ourselves to pay attention to the deeds rather than simply the words. Let us be stoic in love, sensible, perceptive, and smart. For in the end, deeds will always speak louder than words. Step 7. Sensible skepticism. Stoicism and skepticism walk side by side. Stoics, in the dating and love industries, attempt to see things as they actually are rather than as you might anticipate them to be. We've all heard this, so you might be wondering if it's relevant. When someone says what we want to hear and acts as like it's the proper thing to say, we want to trust them and choose to ignore the warning signs that are there in the background. This is when our inner stoic takes over. Being skeptical is like to possessing superpowers. It doesn't imply being pessimistic or cynical. Rather, it means keeping your feet planted and refusing to take anything at face value. It involves questioning and watching rather than leaping in without doing some research first. Let's take a moment to contextualize Chapter 6. Fostering a positive skepticism. Consider the following situation. Your stoic, skeptical side would tell you to slow down and not rush things. It's like a reality check to remind you not to get lost in the romance. You meet someone and you think they're great, saying all these wonderful things to each other, planning a future together. However, it has only been a few weeks since they met. This skepticism is more about paying attention to what people say and doing than it is about questioning everything they say or doubting everything they do. It's about taking the time to truly get to know someone to determine whether or not they are sincere and coherent. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on using reason and logic rather than just following their emotions in relationships. This is important because when we allow our emotions to rule our actions, we can overlook a lot of things. However, when we temper our emotions with reason and skepticism, we give ourselves the chance to see things clearly. Additionally, being a little skeptical helps protect your heart because it prevents you from jumping into things without first making sure you're giving yourself enough time to figure out who the other person is. It's about being wise, observant, and not getting carried away. It's about looking out for ourselves and our hearts. It's more important to open doors thoughtfully and cautiously than to construct walls. Step 8. The strength of knowing that Stoicism places a high value on moral rectitude and the guts to defend your beliefs. This directly relates to our capacity to refuse people in relationships. It's about being confident in your values and not being scared to stick to them. The easy thing to do is to move on. But this is where your inner stoic needs to step up and say no right now. It's about respecting yourself, your values, and your integrity, even if it means upsetting the boat. Let's say you are dating someone and they suggest something that doesn't sit well with you. Maybe it's moving too fast, or maybe it compromises your values in some other way. Chapter 7. Refusing with confidence at this point. This is not to imply that it is simple. On the contrary, it may be very challenging, particularly if you like the person. There will always be that voice in the back of your mind that says, "But what if this drives them away?" But in situations like these, we must have courage. Stoicism teaches us about courage in the face of both internal and external adversity. Saying no isn't about being self-respecting. Rather, it's about demonstrating that you value yourself enough to not settle for less than what you deserve. Of course, this could backfire, but here's the thing. If you say no to something that offends someone, it might not have been the right decision for you. This tactic can drastically alter the dynamics of a relationship by demonstrating to the other person that you are not only there to please them at the expense of your own principles. It alters their viewpoint and demonstrates your self-respecting, self-valued person, which, let me add, is also a very appealing quality. And here's the Stoic twist. Refusing something that goes against our values involves more than just drawing boundaries with other people. It also involves being honest with yourself, figuring out what you really want, and realizing that what you want isn't necessarily to commit to a relationship. It also involves not allowing your fear of being alone to cause you to make decisions that aren't right for you. Let's consider this and remind ourselves that it's okay to say no. It's about living with integrity, just as the Stoics taught us, which is about establishing relationships based on genuine connection and mutual respect. Step 9. Never chase. This speaks so beautifully to all we have been talking about, especially when viewed through the prism of Stoicism. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on accepting what is beyond our control and focusing on what is within our control. This philosophy is extremely effective when it comes to relationships, because it helps us understand that chasing someone away is not only pointless but also inconsistent with respecting ourselves and our own worth. Consider the following situation. Things seem to be going well when you're dating someone, but then they start to drift apart. Trust me, we've all been in similar shoes and have wanted to pursue the person to attempt to bridge the gap, but this is where our I.O. lessons come in, as the Stoics would say. Hold on. Why are you chasing things that are beyond of your control? What about your dignity, your mental clarity and self-respect? Chasing someone who goes away is futile and leaves you feeling music. It's like attempting to capture water without having it run through your fingers. Chapter 8. Never chase. Always value void. The Stoic approach is to maintain your integrity and accept that others are pulling away from you. It's not about being insensitive or cold. Rather, it's about realizing that you have no control over how someone else feels or behaves. All you can do is manage your response. Let's be honest, this is difficult. It takes a lot of fortitude to resist the urge to pursue someone or give in. Conclusion: let's be stoic in our approach to relationships, respecting ourselves and focusing on what we can control. It's about finding peace within ourselves rather than validation from another person. You have the power to choose how you react to the world around you. Remember that you are the architect of your own dignity and the custodian of your self-esteem. Embrace silent love to that impulse, but it's about trusting that if someone really wants to be with you, they will when you stop chasing them. Amazing things happen. I hope this topic has illuminated your path. If so, don't wait any longer and delve deeper into yourself, into what you are experiencing. Remember that you are not alone on this journey. Tell us about your experience in the comments, and if it seems good to you, give us a like. These are some of the ways that you can show your value and recognize that of others, following the advice of Stoicism through actions and not words. Remember that courage is not something that is said, but rather something that is demonstrated with actions. Additionally,